Hello, lovely booktubers. I'm Debs. Welcome back to my channel, Raina Reads Stuff. I'm here in the book shack. I've got the camera angled slightly differently so we can check off some bingo slots later. I've had a really busy week, so my Sunday reading wrap up is being done today. It's Monday. And I've got a lot to get through. So, any regulars to the channel will know that I have got an awful lot of book events going on this month. So we will start with, let's start with Middlegrade May. Middlegrade May, all of the events, I will put all the posts, etc. down below. Middlegrade May, there are 4 hosts. 3 of the hosts have 4 prompts, 1 has 5 prompts. And you're meant to do 1 of the host's prompts. I've sort of decided to do all of them. So I'm trying to get through 17 kids' books or short stories. I did 4 last week, and this week I've done quite well. So my audiobook for this week, whilst I was travelling, was Wind in the Willows. And this is a prompt from Beth at Soul-Stained Ink, which is, I'm going to put it down for the Back to Nature prompt, because there's a lot of nature in Wind in the Willows. This audiobook, I didn't realise until I started it, had all the characters as female rather than male. I'm not sure why. It obviously didn't work for Toad dressing up as a washerwoman. Instead, Toad dressed up as a prison warder, but it had the added bonus of Jennifer Saunders voicing Toad, and she was just brilliant. I mean, it's a classic story, isn't it? The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. Loved it. And I managed to fit it in. I had quite a long journey down to my daughter's on Wednesday morning. So the 7.5 hours of audiobook actually fitted into my journey there and back, which was great. Then I did another couple of Beth's prompts. One was fairy tale. I have this, The Complete Grimm's Tales for Young and Old, and it is translated by Ralph Manheim. I read the first 10. I think there's something like 200 in here, and I had no idea that there were so many. 210 altogether. So I read one that I actually knew. I read The Frog King, or Iron Henrich, The Cat and Mouse Set-Up House, Mary's Child, The Boy Who Left Home to Find Out About the Shivers, that was quite good fun, The Wolf and the 7 Young Kids, Faithful Johannes, A Good Stroke of Business, A Miraculous Fiddler, The 12 Brothers, and A Pack of No Goods. I'm probably going to continue reading these until I get through them. I've got 2 to go. One to go, and then the one after that is Rapunzel, which will be the first one that I've actually recognised. So that was a fairy tale. And because I read lots of them, and I'm cheating slightly, I am also going to use that for a short story. So that's 3 altogether of Beth's prompts ticked off. Then I have a book I've wanted to read. I've never read this before. The Call of the Wild, Jack London. What a great book. That would also work for spring into adventure, because it's definitely adventurous. It's very short, only just over 100 pages, 100 words. But I loved it. I think I might try some more. Then I have this, The Girl Who Stole an Elephant by Nisrana Farouk. This is set in Sri Lanka, so this will also count as one of my Read Around the World books. I'm using this as a new to you author, which is one of Storm's prompts. I really enjoyed it. It's a good adventure. Again, it would work for spring into adventure if we were doing children's adventures. It's about a young girl in Sri Lanka. She's called Chaya. She can talk her way out of anything. She starts stealing things, but she doesn't steal things for the sake of stealing them. She steals them so that things can be sold to buy help for some of the villagers. In one, there's a boy who has his leg mangled by a crocodile, and he needs to pay a doctor and travel to a town quite a way away, to have his leg fixed. Another loses her farm, and she needs some food for her children. So anyway, she steals the Queen's jewels, and basically all hell breaks loose. So she and her friend and a girl they've just met, who is the daughter of a merchant, run away on the King's favourite elephant. It's great, really good fun. Finally, I think for Middlegrade May, Podkin The Legend of Podkin One Ear. This is by Kieran Larwood. It's the winner of a Blue Peter Book Award. It's got some beautiful illustrations in it, like, can I actually find one now? Like this. They're great. David Wyatt was the illustrator. This is the story of, it's set in the future, and rabbits walk on two legs, have whole villages in their warrens, castles and all sorts. But there is a rogue brand of rabbit called the Gorm, and they start attacking all the warrens. And it's up to Podkin One Ear and his sister to save them. So, 5 books, 6 books done for Middlegrade May. I was quite pleased with that. Next up, I read The 39 Steps by John Buchan, and that was for Spring into Adventure. Again, details below. This is a fabulous book. It was a reread for me, but it's a great adventure story, and I like the covers. These were, I just looked this up the other day, 2007 these were published, the editions were published. But yeah, if you want a rip-roaring tale, that's a great one. Right, what else do we have? We have Historathon, of course, and for Historathon, I read this, Femina, because you can't see those words on there, can you? By Dr. Janina Ramirez, as well as being a historian and a writer. Janina Ramirez is also a broadcaster, and she broadcasts really good programs, historical programs. This book is incredible. I whizzed through it. It's subtitled A New History of the Middle Ages Through the Women Written Out of It. And each chapter, and there are 9, I think, chapters, deals with, yes, 9, a specific woman of the Middle Ages. So in here we have people that I had actually heard of, like, for example, Hildegard of Bingen. Julian of Norwich is in here. Marjorie Kemp is in here. But then they also had people that I'd never heard of, like, what was her name? Jagwida of Poland, who was actually king of Poland. She and her sister were kings, not queens, and in fact, Jagwida and her husband, she was king first, and then she married the king of Lithuania, which at that point stretched from the Baltic down to the Black Sea. And they ruled jointly, so Poland had 2 kings. Really interesting. I have also read recently some Alice Roberts, Professor Alice Roberts. On balance, I think this was the more enjoyable read. I have another one of Janina Ramirez's called The Secret Life of Saints, which I'm hoping to read in this quarter of Historathon as well, this quarter being the years 500 to 1500. It was just fabulous. Thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a great further reading section at the back, and it was just really interesting. After that, the majority of my reading has been for horror mayhem. I have started Avalum or Avelum for the Georgian readathon. I'm not that far into it at the moment, but for horror mayhem, this week's theme was movies, this week's prompt, and so I read Stephen King's Carrie, which seemed appropriate as this year's the 50th anniversary. I do not think I have read this for maybe 40 years. I have a feeling that I was a late teenager when I first read this. It was Stephen King's first novel. I think it's great, particularly as a debut novel. One of the things I like about it is the way it flits between narrative and witness testimony and what appears to be the study of the events that take place in Carrie. For those of you who do not know, this is the ultimate bullying school teenagers novel. Carrie is brought up by a religiously obsessed mother. She's not told anything about life. She suffers hideously at school and gets her own back in quite spectacular fashion. I've read a couple of novellas. Let's find where I have put these down. So one of the prompts is dolls. So I had a look on Kindle Unlimited and found Dolls by Mav Sky. That seemed appropriate. There were 3 stories in here. I think the first one was my favourite. It says 3 tales to chew your bones. The first one was about a child and its mother. The father, a husband, is overseas. He sends the child a doll. The doll, definitely not the sort of doll you should be giving to a child. It is quite evil. I enjoyed these. They were quite good. Another prompt is clowns. So I found a novella by Ash Ericmore called Tatters. I really wasn't sure about this one. Your protagonist is a guy who dresses as a clown with balloons and stands at the end of an underpass in a park in London, staring at the people who come out and hoping to frighten them the hell out of them. He is slightly psychotic and has a mad clown in his head who talks to him all the time, who calls him a big wuss and says he couldn't scare anything. And then one night he is beaten up by 3 guys who come out of the underpass, aren't scared at all, and just beat him up. And he then seeks to take revenge. The best thing about this was that it was short. Other than that, I didn't really enjoy it. Horror adjacent, I did enjoy though. I read The Furthest Station by Ben Aranovich. The Furthest Station is one of the Rivers of London books. It's very short. This one is about something going on the Underground Rail in London. And Peter Grant, excuse me, I'm yawning. Peter Grant, who is the PC attached to the Metropolitan Police Department that deals with supernatural crime, needs to find out what's going on. As usual, it's fun, it's rip-roaring, there are deaths, there are ghouls, there are ghosts. You couldn't really describe it as a proper horror book. In fact, you couldn't describe it as a horror book at all. It's definitely horror adjacent. Now, what else do we have? We also have wrong book, this book. Various short stories and small novellas. So I've read 3 Arthur Conan Doyle short stories. 4. The Great Kindplatz Experiment. B24, The Usher of Lee House School, and The Brown Hand. I think probably, I think all of these are from Tales of Terror. But they're really well written. I mean, I've read all the Sherlock Holmes stories, but I haven't read anything else by Arthur Conan Doyle. So these were an absolute joy. And then I have a book called Haunts and Horrors Mega Pack. And from that I read White Beauty by Cynthia Ward, which is a story about a unicorn. It really isn't very nice. Lost Property by David Anderson. This is a ghost story that is set in a church. and Fear by Guy de Maupassant. And then I read a ghost story by E.F. Benson called The Dust Cloud, a graphic novel called 30 Days of Night by Steve Niles and Ben Templesmith. And this was about zombies gathering at a very northerly and isolated settlement in Alaska. And they time it so that they arrive just after the sun sets for winter, and they have then 3 months of total darkness to destroy the settlers and eat them. Now, I'm thinking that counts as elemental because they rely on the elements to help them completely dismantle and overrun this settlement. Now, there were a couple more boxes that I ticked off. I read a Daphne du Maurier story or novella called Don't Look Now, and this is classed as cult horror, I think, mainly because the movie was a cult horror film, so that works for me. That was from a compendium called The Weird. I read another one called The Spider by Hans Ines Ewers, and that was a Black Widow, supernatural Black Widow-ish type tale. I read Hellscreen by Ryosuke Akutagawa, who is a brilliant Japanese short story writer. That was very good. Cosmic horror, I read The Colour of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. I also read Last Rites and Resurrections by Martin Simpson. Feeders and Eaters from Neil Gaiman, which were also both from this The Weird compendium. And the weirdest one was called The Brotherhood of Mutilation, and it was by Brian Evenson. And that was also from The Weird. Now, this was extreme body horror. The Brotherhood of Mutilation is a religious sect. I mean, I'm not saying is as in it is factual. It is obviously fiction. But this centers around a religious sect that worship bodily mutilation. So when you join the sect, you are expected to amputate a body part of your own. And once you've done that, you are a one. You have one body part missing. Leaders of this group have a dozen or more body parts missing. So they, might cut off 4 fingers, 1 thumb, that's 5, a hand, wrist to elbow, and maybe elbow to shoulder, that would be 8. But let's face it, you're going to run out of body parts at some point. This was horrific and so weird. I mean, weird, really weird. It was quite well written, but just weird. Anyway, all of that leads me to crossing off cult horror for Daphne du Maurier, body horror, I've got the Brotherhood of Mutilation, and also Feeders and Eaters by Neil Gaiman. So body horror is there. Then we have cosmic horror, courtesy of Mr. H.P. Lovecraft, and that is there. We have horror adjacent The Furthest Station by Ben Aronovich. So that's that one. The 30 Days of Night, the graphic novel I read, I'm going to have as elemental. Um, then I have the Dolls short stories and the Clowns novella. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and plenty of ghost stories. 8. I'm slightly behind. Oh, and all cross off that one. But that's not bad going, really, because I'm ahead on the kids' books. So, this week, I've got a couple of buddy reads coming up. I have got... group. Well, both. I'm still reading this, The Terror. I know most of the group have finished it, but that's going down as my modern horror for next week, so I'm happy to finish it this coming weekend. I'm reading this, The Word Horde, which is subtitled Daily Life in Old English. This is a buddy read with John David. I have started it. I've got a couple of chapters in. It's brilliant, and I'm really enjoying it. I am also due to start this week. I can get this damn thing to open. There we go. What is it? Oh, here it is. This is by Bart the Airman, and it's Lost Christianities. And this is a book that I will be reading with Vin at Revenant Reads and Stephanie Cohen. And this is for Maybe Midrash, which is an event reading serious books about religion. And then I also have Avalum for the Georgian readathon. Oh, and for classic horror, for Horror Madness. I'm going for Frankenstein, I think. I think that's me done. I've got another couple of videos to do. I'm going to try and churn them out this afternoon because midweek I tend to be really busy. But I'll schedule those for later in the week. Thank you for watching. I hope you're reading brilliant things and having lots of fun. And please like and subscribe if you'd like to. If you don't, that's fine. And I will... Oh, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're reading. Whether you're taking part in any of these. Whether you've read any of this. That's it for now. I've gone on far too long again. Thank you for popping by, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye for now.